A day in the life of Nalya, sky-touched Duverne, morning, waking to the floating world. The first thing Nalya noticed when she woke up was the weightlessness. Not the complete floating kind, just the subtle sensation of being almost untethered, as though gravity had yet to fully claim her for the day. Her hammock swayed gently, suspended between two gravity hooks in the open-air alcove of her family's home in Port Levant, a city of drifting platforms, suspended walkways, and air-threaded bridges. She cracked open one silver-flecked eye and peered out over the edge of her hammock. Through the open window, she could see the sky ribbons, twisting strands of glowing purple energy that marked the flow of Rayon's gravitational currents. The entire city pulsed with the shifting energy of purple-purpulous god-glow, its streets and homes floating just enough to remind its people that nothing was ever truly still. Below, the sounds of Le Marché Volant, the floating market, were already rising, merchants calling out their wares, the rhythmic hammering of weight-tuned anvils, and the echoing laughter of children jumping between drifting platforms, their gravity bangles flashing as they landed with impossible lightness. The scent of morning spice breads and fire-roasted starfruit curled through the air, teasing Nalya's nose. "Up, little bird," came a familiar voice from below. Maman Vela's voice was like the market bells, strong, clear, and impossible to ignore. Nalya groaned and stretched, her braided hair floating slightly before settling as the gravity hooks in the room adjusted. "I'm up, maman," she called back. With practiced ease, she flipped out of her hammock, landing on the floor with a slight gravitational bounce. She reached for her gravitic wrap, a flowing, lightweight garment woven with god-glow-infused threads that adjusted to the shifting gravity of the day. The deep violet fabric shimmered as she fastened it around her waist, its patterns swirling in reaction to the sky's pull. Another day in Port Levant. Another day navigating the weightless paths of the floating city. Morning chores, the skythreader's apprentice. Maman Vela was already at her workbench, her strong, calloused hands threading together strands of lève fil, a god-glow-infused rope used to anchor floating homes and market platforms. The Duverne family were skythreaders, responsible for keeping sections of Port Levant from drifting into the unknown. Today, Nalya's job was to help reinforce the tethered platforms connecting their home to the market. Some had loosened overnight, their weightless knots coming undone in the shifting winds. She crouched at the edge of their home, peering down into the open sky below. The platform she needed to fix was floating a few feet away, unmoored. Without hesitation, she touched the weight-adjusting bangles on her wrists, feeling their familiar hum as she adjusted their settings. One deep breath, then she leapt into the air. For a moment, she was free, weightless, untethered. The purple-purpulous energy in the air swirled around her, catching on the silver tattoos along her forearms, marks of her family's sky-threading lineage. Then, gravity tugged her gently downward, and she landed on the drifting platform with barely a sound. "You're getting better at that," Maman called from behind her, nodding approvingly. Nalya grinned, her fingers already working the lève fil into new knots, securing the platform before it drifted too far. "One day, I'll be faster than you," she teased. Maman snorted. "One day, maybe, but not today." Nalya only laughed, pulling the last knot tight. The floating market, a runner's job. With the morning's work done, Nalya darted toward Le Marché Volant, eager for her next task. She worked as a runner, delivering goods between floating stalls and sky merchants. It was a job that required speed, precision, and the ability to read the ever-shifting gravity currents. Her first delivery was to Old Man Gari, the spice merchant whose stall drifted near the eastern edge of the market. The paths of the market weren't solid streets, but rather a patchwork of floating platforms, each bobbing gently with the gravitational shifts. Some people used gravity bridges to cross. Nalya preferred a different method. She ran full speed, her body light as a feather as she leapt from platform to platform, the weight-adjusting bangles ensuring she never fell too fast. The wind whistled around her, the calls of merchants and the laughter of other runners blending into the morning air. "Girl, you fly too much," called Tonton Bellamy, the baker, shaking his head as he kneaded weightless dough in midair. "Not enough ground in your step." Nalya only grinned, vaulting over a stack of floating fruit crates before landing in front of Old Man Gari's stall. "You're late," he grumbled. "You're early," she shot back, tossing the bundle of levfil onto his counter. The old man huffed, but handed her a small pouch of floating saffron in return. A traditional payment for couriers, spices, not coins. "Tell your mother these knots better hold," he muttered. "They always do," Nalya said, tucking the saffron into her belt. Then she was off again, leaping through the shifting skyways. Midday. Skyfarers and the baptême du vent. By midday, the market's energy had shifted. Skyfarers, the gravity-sailing navigators of Rayan, had gathered near the Grand Ascendancy's lift, preparing their lev halts, gravity ships, for the day's journey. Near them, a group of youths was assembling. The baptême du vent was about to begin. This was the sacred wind baptism, the ritual that marked the passage into adulthood. Each 14-year-old in Port Levant had to take the leap, trusting the gravity of their homeland to catch them. Nalya stood at the edge, watching as the first boy stepped forward. He hesitated for just a moment, then jumped from the platform into the open air. For a breathless second, he plummeted. Then the god-glow-infused currents caught him, slowing his fall, guiding him safely to the lower platforms. Tomorrow, it would be Nalya's turn. Evening. The ancestral ties. As night fell, sky lanterns flickered to life across Port Levant. Tonight was a night of remembrance, a time when families sent lanterns into the sky for those who had drifted beyond this world. Maman handed Nalya a small lantern. For Papa Norin. Her father had been a skyfarer, a navigator of the Lev House, before he was lost to a storm-warped gravity rift. Some said he still sailed the skies, caught between worlds. Nalya lit the lantern, whispering the old words, "May your tether stay strong." Then she released it into the night, watching as it spiraled upward, joining the other lanterns glowing against the stars. Nightfall. Dreams of weightlessness. By the time Nalya climbed back into her floating hammock, her limbs ached from the day's work. But her mind was alive with thoughts of tomorrow. Her baptême du vent was waiting. Would she fall like a stone, or would she fly? She traced the patterns of her sky threader's tattoo, feeling the faint pulse of gravity in her veins. "No," she thought, smiling as she drifted into sleep. "I won't fall. I'll soar,